Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us on KARE News Now. I'm Chris Hrabsky. Breaking this afternoon, Republican Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell, the longest-serving Senate leader in history, will not seek re-election next year. He made the announcement on his 83rd birthday and will leave behind a complex legacy for a Republican Party that has changed drastically since he was first elected in 1984. The announcement comes after McConnell's recent split from President Trump's MAGA agenda and several health issues in recent years. Staying in D.C., where today marks 1 month since President Donald Trump became president for the second time. Since then, he's made big changes to the federal government, including mass firings of federal workers. The Trump administration calls it promises made, promises kept, and says all the work is to root out fraud in the federal government. Now, more federal workers could be in the crosshairs. Alice Barr is in D.C. with the details.
1 month and a head-spinning number of executive actions since Inauguration Day. President Trump's rapid remake of the federal government having real-world impacts, from canceled contracts for housing inspections.
To have safe and livable housing, that's the type of thing that they're calling waste.
To fired Veterans Affairs workers.
We're not some deep state that has ulterior motives.
And farmers waiting on paused grant money.
I've already done a bunch of the work, already paid for the material, already paid for the labor, so I'm out all that cost.
President Trump defending the cost-cutting moves.
We're trying to make our government smaller but much stronger.
The Defense Department now the latest target of the Department of Government Efficiency. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth ordering $50 billion in cuts to redirect to President Trump's priorities. While 5 sources tell NBC News Secretary Hegseth is considering firing some generals and other senior officers with close ties to former Biden Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, or who've worked on programs seen as out of step with the Trump agenda. At a Saudi investment conference in Miami, President Trump suggesting a new use for any DOGE-related savings.
We're thinking about giving 20% back to the American citizens and 20% down to pay back debt.
Without saying where the remaining money would go, also slamming federal employees working from home.
They're not working. They're playing tennis, they're playing golf, or they have other jobs.
In a week spent working from his Mar-a-Lago home that's included a few rounds of golf. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
New today, the final passenger hospitalized by that horrific plane crash in Toronto has been released from the hospital. The fiery crash injuring 21 people, but miraculously, all 80 people on board survived. We're also seeing new images of Canadian investigators walking through the wreckage just before the Delta aircraft was removed from the runway. They were climbing on top of the plane, walking under the wreckage, going inside the aircraft. And once they finished, the plane was taken to a nearby hangar. We also know Delta is now offering $30,000 to each of the 76 passengers on board that flight with no strings attached. A Minnesota man who survived Monday's plane crash is waking up this morning at home, and he's also sharing his story. Gerald Volkman drove 15 hours to Eagan rather than fly. Volkman travels a lot for work and said the flight was normal until he noticed how windy it was right before the plane was about to land.
We were just making the runway, and it's just like the bottom dropped out. Then a roll, and then we slid for 7 seconds. And I was so surprised that I was alive, because when we hit the first time, I thought, that's it.
Wow. Volkman credits the airplane for saving their lives. The wings are meant to detach and take most of the impact, protecting the fuselage from breaking apart and protecting those passengers on board. This story is still developing by the day. We're going to continue to update as soon as we learn more. Stick with KARE 11 News Now on the KARE 11 Streaming Plus app, and join us on air and, of course, online as well. To Arizona now. 2 people are dead after 2 small planes crashed midair at the Marana Regional Airport outside Tucson Wednesday morning. Investigators say both planes were occupied when they collided, but exactly how the crash happened is still being investigated. The Marana Airport is a small one and does not have air traffic control tower there, meaning it operates an uncontrolled field. The National Transportation Safety Board is leading the investigation into that crash. If you live in St. Paul, heads up, future plans for the area around Allianz Field will be laid out tonight. The next phase involves turning this empty parking lot into a vibrant space Tonight's meeting at 6 o'clock is all about getting the community up to speed on what's happening on this 18-acre super block around Allianz. Remember, for years, this area was largely considered run down. In 2019, that started to change when Allianz Field was built. After that first big step, the project was put on hold during the 2020 civil unrest. Then in 2024, brought two big public amenities, PK's Place playground and the giant loon statue on the corner of Snelling and University there. This year now, the project will move into retail and business construction. People can expect three big construction sites, a hotel, an office building housing two restaurants, and a parking ramp, plus all the lighting, sewer, and utilities that support those structures. New warning today from the nation's largest retailer, Walmart, about their expectations for a slower 2025. Why do Walmart sales matter? It's a sign where consumer spending is. Walmart said this morning its sales and profit growth are expected to decrease this year, partly due to inflation ticking back up and tariffs on goods coming into the U.S. Walmart's sales have such an impact that other retailers can also expect a slower year. Looking at closer on consumer prices, they rose 0.5 percentage point last month from December. That's the fastest pace in more than a year. Now to another unique Walmart story. Nearly 50 people have been sentenced to washing cars. Sentenced to washing cars after being convicted of stealing from a Michigan Walmart. The shoplifters will work at a free car wash over 4 weekends this spring. That is their sentence. The hope is to make it so that they don't want to steal again and to keep from sending people to an already overcrowded jail.
When you can't afford to be safe in a parking lot because someone's driving away recklessly or running through the out the door at Walmart and you're walking in with your child, and just the fact that we all pay higher prices and these people don't get it, and so they're either going to get it, they're going to wash cars a lot, or they're going to go to jail.
That judge, Jeffrey Clothier, will be at the car wash every weekend and take attendance and make sure everyone's assisting in washing the cars. Each shoplifter also received a fine equal to the amount of merch that they stole allegedly from Walmart. Back at home, road safety is a huge issue. Last year, 472 people died on Minnesota's roads. That's according to data from the Minnesota Office of Traffic Safety. 27 of those were from distracted driving. It is a problem police have been trying to get a hold of through education and enforcement, but as Jason Hackett reports, some new tech is making its debut in the West Metro, and it could make a big impact.
If you commute around the Twin Cities, you probably know Highway 7 has a bit of a reputation. At its best, it's a fast-moving, convenient east-west connection. At its worst, many say it's downright deadly. Sergeant Adam Moore, with the South Lake Minnetonka Police Department, is well aware of that reputation.
5 fatalities in 2024. Our citizens in this area have been outraged about it.
But speeding and distracted driving are what really keeps officers busy.
Probably the worst thing I saw was someone texting and eating a sandwich at the same time, right when I was next to their window.
He says officers alone can't keep an eye on all of it. That's why he says this extra pair of eyes in the sky may help. You may have seen the bright orange set of arms hovering over Highway 7 in the last few days. It's not a new construction project.
They have an AI camera that can detect when someone is driving distracted.
The tech made possible through a state grant to improve safety on the highway. We went out with Sergeant Moore to see firsthand how it works.
So there's a couple different camera angles for each lane. We hear the alert pop up. It comes up on our screen. It shows us if there is a potential violation.
That's right. The cameras on this can see right into your car and see you on your phone. Sergeant Moore says officer discretion does come into play. The tickets aren't automated or mailed out.
The AI kind of lets us know there might be a violation, but it is up to the officer to actually look at that photo and see that there's a violation. Without that 100%, yes, I see a phone in the hand, we're not making traffic stops on that.
You'll see it move up and down Highway 7, popping up in different areas over the next year. The tech doing its job so far. He says his officers can barely keep up.
I I was on a traffic stop and I heard 4 or 5 violations come through that no one was able to get because that many people were using their cell phones as they're coming past us.
And the reaction so far, according to Sergeant Moore?
The 4 people I stopped today, I told them that orange camera that was back there, it took a picture of you on your phone and I saw it in your right hand. And I haven't had anybody yet try to argue that point.
Guilty consciences hopefully leading to better decisions down the road as it becomes harder and harder to disconnect in an increasingly connected world.
Really, we're looking to educate people. Yes, we are writing citations for certain violations, but our goal is not to write the citations. Our goal is to get people to put their phones down.
AI law enforcement, interesting topic. Hey, as we head to break, how about a moment of levity? The producers oohing and eyeing over this in the newsroom this morning. Otters, they like snow as well. These ones are from Tennessee. We got more news and weather ahead. KARE 11 News Now. Stick around.